What's up, guys? Zan here. I just want to do something that I don't normally do in my videos. Normally, you guys know me as a tips guy. I'm going to take a minute to do a vlog, and I want to talk about competitive Madden here. I just want to preface this and say that don't take this as me attacking anybody. This isn't me trying to degrade or make fun of anybody or say anybody is bad at their job. That's not this type of vlog that you're used to seeing on other channels around the community. When I say something, I am very opinionated. I'm the first to admit that. But I want to say things as forcefully and as constructively as possible, even if there's criticism even if it's a constructive criticism. The reason I say things the way I do is because I feel the need to hammer these ideas home because there are problems. There are problems. In the past, I have, I can't say what, but I have given feedback in a very passionate way and said at the jump, hey, this is an issue. And maybe it's latent at the time, and then later on it becomes an issue. And then and only then, once it's a full-on plague, does something get regulated or patched or whatever. So this video is dedicated to the wide receiver Swerve. I'm going to play in the background. This is a game between Voltarax and Young Kiv. Voltarax is the New England Patriots, and if you guys don't know who he is famous for the wide receiver Swerve that is starting to grow in the community. Now, essentially what the wide receiver Swerve is, I'm just going to let this video play. The wide receiver Swerve is basically a glitch or a bug in the game in which, regardless of your coverage shell, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, man coverage, soft man, man press, blitz, no blitz, when the ball is in the air, the offense has the ability to click on, gain control of the wide receiver, and swerve to the inside, which the problem is when they swerve to the inside, the DB, rather than playing the ball in the air, will trace the wide receiver and swerve to the inside. And then they swerve quickly back to the outside and rat catch it. And they catch it in stride and they run for a touchdown while the DB is swerving behind them or side by side with them and not playing the ball, regardless of whatever input command you put in. So now, at first, the community thought the swerve was only a problem when you had outside coverage in a deep zone. So corner on the outside in a deep third, you could swerve him. So the community naturally started to go to too high man coverage and see if they could stop it. Well, now the swerve has been altered and you can actually swerve against two high looks. So I believe in this example or the next play, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. He's going to throw the swerve right at the safety and swerve the safety out of the play and then swerve back in. You can see right there he did it. Now, the word from EA Sports and the competitive division and the quality control team at EA has been that if you click onto your receiver and do not input a SWAT or play ball command, that you can steer your player into position and then input your command. I want to go back quickly and watch this. This is a bullet pass. You do not have time to click on and steer. There's literally no time. And as you can see right there, Kiv did try to do that, and he hit the SWAT, and his player was steered out of the way either way. Now, the really disheartening thing is that at this point in Madden, people are running too high shells as the primary means of stopping this because there's a safety sitting back there. And they thought, well, the safety's over the top of the play, he won't get swerved. Well, now you're seeing from compression or slot receivers, if you use the slot receiver, you can swerve a cover 2 safety. That's a problem. Now, Kiv is on offense here. So I want to go to some tweets that were out in the community yesterday, or particularly this afternoon. And they were put out by the commissioner, Matt Marcoux. Spoiler alert in this game, Young Kiv does win this ball game. He wins it in overtime. And if the video blog goes as long for you guys to see the whole game, then great. We'll see everything that happens. But if not, I'll just go ahead and break it down for you. Voltarax essentially could not move the ball the entire game without the swerve. He scored 3 touchdowns off of the swerve and got another field goal to make 24 points in regulation. And Young Kiv had to pace it and scored 24 on his own, kicking a field goal to go to overtime. In overtime, Young Kiv won the game. The only reason Volterax didn't score touchdowns on all of his drives is if he got shoelace tackled inside 20, where he couldn't swerve in the red zone. So basically what I'm saying on that is Young Kiv didn't stop the swerve. He merely paced it with his own offense. Now, when you're talking about Madden as an esport, you talk about regulating things that are competitively unbalanced. I can actually point to things that I claim were competitively balanced that were fixed in this year's game before this year's game came out. For instance, gap rushes. Blitzes where defensive linemen walked in. Yes, they were unrealistic. But you had tools in the game. Slide protection. You could call different pass drops, so a 3-step, 5-step, 7-step drop. They all blocked a little bit differently if you lab the game up. Play action had different blocking a running back, blocking a tight end, slide protecting with that combination. Any combination of those could stop any blitz in the game last year. People who say that blitzes were unstoppable weren't exhausting their resources. But that's not what this video is about. So, anywho, going into this year, they put in the nano detection system to stop that. So, basically, those gap blitzes were regulated to a point where now you have those are out of the game. Whether you agree or disagree with it, it doesn't matter. They're out of the game. I personally think the nano detection system made Madden a better game this year. Were nanos counterable, or the gap blitzes counterable? Of course. But you saw that was regulated anyways. Okay, so fast forwarding to today, like I said, Young Kiv wins this game in overtime, and Volterax lost another game in his round robin last night. In both those games, he swerved to score the majority of his points, and the swerve was stopped less times than he was successful with it. An astounding percentage of the time it was stopped. Or it was not stopped. Sorry, lost my train of thought as I'm watching the video. In this drive, Young Kiv does get a lucky interception, but you can see that he was swerving both play. He was attempting to swerve, and the throw just the swerve didn't work. But that is literally the only time in this entire video that it doesn't work. He just uses the swerve as a vehicle to move his offense the entire game. So anywho, Matt Marcoux, after those Volterax loses twice yesterday, tweets today that he tweets, let me read the tweet to you. So, after yesterday's games, do we still need to talk about the swerve, or can we all go back to playing Madden? Smiley face, #Madden Classic. Now, I'm going to say this before I go into my rant. Matt Marcoux has done a fantastic job. Yes, there have been hiccups along the way, but EA Sports is new to this esports thing, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt for right now. I feel like they've done a pretty good job at what they've done so far. The communication is getting better. I feel like the support has been pretty good. However, that tweet was extremely disheartening to me. You're talking about a group of competitive players in this community that, by and large, 90%. I don't know very many players who think the swerve should be allowed. There's a few, probably because they know how to do it. I know how to do it as well, but I just don't use it. So that right there is like the one time it got picked off that I've seen Volt. Volt won 4 games to get to the group stage using the swerve, and people were manning up and doing all that stuff as well. So you have a group of people that are used as a focus group. I mean, I was on conference calls this summer, going into the competitive season, and we talked about things, and we are used as a focus group, which is great. Any company needs to have a focus group to gauge what they want to do with their product. So why is it that you trust us as a focus group to give you ideas about or give you feedback on structure for the tournament, things of that nature, but you don't trust our opinions on gameplay issues? To me, that is a egregious oversight. It's an egregious oversight. I understand that you have a very very good quality control group down at EA who works very hard. They work very hard. I've seen it firsthand. I've been down there a lot of times. The hours they log are insane. But without full repro, I mean, you can have a rough idea of how something works, and just because you spend a few hours on it yourself trying to replicate it does not mean that, and you're spotty with the success of it, does not mean that the thing is a spotty thing. You look at Voltarax, and the rate at which it's successful with him is very, very high. And here's the other thing. They say, well, we haven't regulated user catches in the past. Talking about rocket catching, face catching, jetpacking from all the previous Maddens. Here's the issue with that. The rocket catch, if you had stick, you could click onto your defender, so you didn't have to be usering the DB. You could click onto the defender, strafe up, and pick the ball yourself. There were very, very good Madden players that used to pick off rocket catches. The other thing is that the rocket catch was not a touchdown if successfully pulled off. It was just a first down, 15, 20 yards. This is a full-on touchdown when executed, and there's no direct counter. So where is the competitive balance in allowing the wide receiver swerve to be a thing? We've been told, like I said, that if you don't click on and you try to steer your defender in, that is a way to counter it. So that's literally the only real counter that has been found for this. And that only works when the ball is in the air for an extremely long time and not when the ball is bulleted, because you don't have time to click on and do it. There's no play call you can make. We talked about that. Cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, quarters 3 deep. Prevent has been swerved for a touchdown by Voltarax. All those, your play call does not matter. And your stick skill only matters if the ball's, here's another one. Look at that. That's ridiculous. And here's the thing. That was the exact same coverage that Kiv played on the down that he picked it off. There's no counter, there's no reliable counter to this defense. Kiv played bracketed coverage, safety over the top, zone call, but manned up the guy individually. And it still got swerved. What is there that you're seeing in this video that makes you think, oh, it's counterable via play call or by stick because the ball is a bullet? So here's the other reason why I feel it's allowed by EA. You're not seeing a lot of players doing it. Well, here's the thing. This competitive group that you're seeing, Serious Mo, Skimbo, Boogs, our home, I'm going to say our because I'm part of the tournament community, or I was part of the tournament community and ingrained in that community. Our home is typically on All Madden. On All Madden, the swerve is not possible. It's literally not possible. It doesn't work. So we don't do it because we are just playing down from All Madden onto All Pro. So you're not seeing a group of us run it. If it was possible to do on All Madden, you would have seen Coach K at his first tournament. You would have seen Armando and the Gamer Saloon guys at their first tournament. They would have banned it, but But because it didn't work on All Madden, it was a moot point. So this group of elite gamers that you use as a focus group for other ideas and feedback in the community, we haven't had to deal with it because All Madden's not really, it doesn't work on All Madden. But what we're saying when we see this is, hey, this is a competitive, it's not competitively balanced, it needs regulated. In very much the same fashion that the competitive community banned the QB rap several years ago. because there was no way to prevent your counterman, the guy who was responsible for cutback, from getting sucked to the inside, very much like it was this year before Clint Oldenburg tuned it. The QB wrap was very much the same. It would pull everybody to the middle of the field and then give the quarterback speed to the outside, and that got regulated. That was before the the esports initiative by EA. So going back to these tweets, right? The tweet was, do you feel, he said, there's a lot of feedback from competitive players that were like, hey, that this is a bad tweet. I even joined in myself and said, this is an extremely disheartening tweet. After he says, do we need to talk about Swerve, or can we go back to playing Madden? Just because you eliminated a guy in the deepest of deep stages, honestly, this is before you go to the live finals in Burbank, just because you finally got rid of one guy doing it by sticking him in the toughest round robin in the entire bracket almost, and putting him against Kiv and all those other guys in his group. Just because you eliminated him at this stage doesn't mean that it's not a problem. He got that far. He eliminated very talented players en route to getting to this stage. Players that if he couldn't swerve or if it didn't exist, he wouldn't score. He literally wouldn't score. I mean, you're talking about in this video right now, the score is 14-7, and 14 of Volt's points are off of the swerve, throwing the ball into coverage and swerving the defenders out of the way. So I just think that saying, oh, he's gone now, it's not a problem, right, is not the way to go at it, because you've eliminated players en route to getting this far, to finally getting Volt eliminated from the tournament using this glitch. Now it's okay because he's gone. No, it's not. That's backwards thinking. He shouldn't have been there in the first place. Now, Volt, from what I've heard, I've never personally played him, but I have played guys who swerve. That was just a regular jetpack. That wasn't a swerve attempt, for the record. Volt is a guy that in the past has been an IP booter, an IP flooder. He's done disconnect glitches, pause glitches, things like that. So this guy's notorious for being a scumbag. Just being honest with you. He's notorious for that. But this has been a year in which he's got something that has not been regulated by EA, and this is the only reason he stays in the game. Here is the issue, though. If the swerve is not banned, you are forcing everybody to learn it, because there's no counter to it. You just are going to force people to learn it to the point where right now it's not a thing. I mean, it is a thing right now, but it's going to be a thing. It's going to be a thing. And the problem is that if everybody starts doing this, the higher money pools are coming up. So you're going to see in the Madden Bowl, in the Madden Challenge, that there's going to be more and more people doing it if you do not regulate it. And it's not going to look good. It's not going to look good, for one. I mean, this is a game that is in its infancy stage of esports. Fullback dive, for instance, didn't look good last year. Problem made it very deep in the tournament running fullback dive. But he came up against Stiffmeister in the finals, who had fullback dive defense. So it was competitively balanced because Stiff had fullback dive defense. But as we discussed, there's no defensive play call or adjustment that you can really make to stop this. There isn't. There just really isn't. Anybody says there is lying to you. I mean, you can't even slow it down. So, anywho, I just think it's an extreme oversight that I understand allowing it still because you're this far in the tournament. But if it is not regulated going forward for Season 2, then we have an issue. And that leads me to kind of a tangent. If the issue is that you don't want to regulate it because that would involve you having to deal with people in the qualifying phase reporting swervers, then you aren't ready for esports as a as a company. Now that's very unZan like for me to say, right? Because everybody knows me as Mr. EA. Like everybody accuses me of like spitting the company line, right? If the reason that you don't want to regulate something is because you don't want to deal with actually enforcing the rule and taking people off of the leaderboards that are abusing it and things of that nature, then there are bigger issues. Now, I think that EA has done a fantastic job with the rules that they have enforced. I've had no issues with reporting things that I've seen and having things addressed. Been very happy with it. But if you feel like not regulating this because it's a user catch and the precedent before has not been to regulate a user catch, this is not the same. It's just not the same. So rather than continue to repeat myself over and over, I just really hope that that better judgment prevails going forward. The game plays very balanced, in my opinion, right now. But if you allow this to dominate the game going forward, I feel like it would be a grave mistake, a very, very grave mistake. And I think if you do that, you're going to end up with a situation in which everybody does it. If you don't ban it, everybody's going to do it. And then on top of that, the response for next year's game will end up being that you won't be able to click on it all or something like that, in which the main fix to the Swerve is rather than getting rid of it or just making it illegal on a competitive level where, you know, the people who are actually playing it competitively and have a lot of stock in the game and spend thousands of hours playing, you know, if it's banned, they don't have to worry about it. Even if it still exists, nobody's going to have to worry about it. But if you don't ban it and everybody starts doing it, then you're hurting the game for a future year's perspective. And that's a huge thing. Keep that in mind. If you allow this to go forward, there are repercussions that are going to cause what's called splash damage to competitive play for years to come, because naturally it will be addressed in the development cycle for Madden 18 or the next year's game. But the issue will be that the way that it gets fixed will have grave effects on the way that the game is played as a whole. Now, you know, that's been the case for years. Nano blitzes, well, how do we fix those? You can't user you can't move players down between the linemen and the gaps. Well, what did that do? It made QB sneak come back. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about splash damage. If you can't stack players on the line, then, you know, you can't stop these quick hitting runs up the middle like QB sneak, fullback dive, things like that. And you have to figure out obscure ways to stop it, like, you know, running field goal block or, you know, things like that. There's splash damage to everything that is done. So this isn't just a competitive ruling. It's going to affect the way the game is made going forward, just as somebody who's seen development cycles. So, you know, keep that in mind. You know, I'm just one voice, but I hope that other members of the Madden community, prominent members, even if you're not a prominent member, even if you're, you know, Johnny Walmart who doesn't want to have to deal with this in a ranked game, I hope that you speak up with me on this video. Appreciate everybody. Matt Marcoux, this wasn't an attack on you. The competitive team, this isn't an attack on you. It's just feedback. We're very passionate. We want this game to succeed. And there's a million reasons. There's a million reasons why it needs to succeed. So appreciate y'all. Talk to you later. Love y'all. Bye.